I never thought my best friend would betray me. Not like this. Not in a way that could ruin my life forever. My name is Jake, and until a few weeks ago, I thought I knew what friendship meant. I thought loyalty was something unbreakable between us, me and Ryan, best friends since middle school. We did everything together, played on the same soccer team, shared our deepest secrets, and even got matching scars from that one time we tried skateboarding off the roof of his garage. But then Ryan changed. Or maybe I just never saw him for who he really was. It all started when he got into trouble, big trouble. A fight at school, a suspension, and rumors of something worse that he never fully admitted to me. Suddenly, he wasn't the golden boy anymore. His parents were furious, and he knew they were about to crack down hard. That's when he came up with a plan. A plan to frame me. A plan to make it look like I was the one who had done something so disgusting, so unforgivable, that it would take all the heat off of him. I just didn't know it yet. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Ryan was still my best friend, though he'd been acting weird, jumpy, secretive, like he was always watching over his shoulder. "You good, man?" I asked him one day after school. "Yeah," he muttered, kicking a rock down the sidewalk. "Just tired of all the crap at home." I knew his parents were strict, but that wasn't new. Something else was going on, but he wasn't telling me what. Then, one afternoon, Ryan invited me to hang out at his house. We were supposed to play video games, eat junk food, and complain about school like always. But when I got there, he seemed distracted, almost nervous. His laptop was open on his desk, and he quickly slammed it shut when I walked in. "What was that?" I asked. "Nothing. Just some stupid prank I was working on," he said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Forget it. I should have paid more attention. I should have known. But I didn't. And that was my first mistake." The first sign that something was wrong came on a regular Monday morning. I was walking down the hallway when I noticed people looking at me, really looking at me. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then I heard the whispers. "That's him. I heard he got caught. I can't believe it. He always seemed normal." A cold chill ran down my spine. I glanced around, trying to figure out what they were talking about. My first thought was maybe Ryan had told people some embarrassing secret about me. It wouldn't be the first time he pulled some prank for laughs, but this felt different. The looks I was getting weren't playful. They were disgusted. When I got to my locker, my phone buzzed in my pocket. At first, I ignored it, but then another notification popped up. Then another. Curious, I pulled my phone out and felt my stomach drop. "Unknown number, you're disgusting. Unknown number, stay away from kids. Unknown number, hope you rot in jail." I blinked at the screen. My hands started sweating. What the was this? I scrolled through the messages, but they kept coming. Each one worse than the last. Some were just insults, but others were threats, real threats. I tried to think of what I could have done to piss someone off this badly, but nothing came to mind. I wasn't the type to start drama. I didn't have enemies. And yet, the entire school was looking at me like I was some kind of monster. The feeling of unease stayed with me all morning. I was half distracted in class, barely able to focus as my mind tried to piece things together. Something was happening, something big. At lunch, I found Ryan sitting at our usual table. He was picking at his food, looking completely unbothered. "Dude," I said, dropping my tray down. "Do you know what's going on? People are acting super weird around me." He barely looked up. "Weird how?" I ran a hand through my hair. "I don't know. Just staring. Whispering. And I'm getting these messages." I pulled out my phone and shoved it toward him. "Look at this." Ryan leaned in, scanning the screen. For a split second, I thought I saw something flicker across his face, something like satisfaction. But it was gone so fast I wasn't even sure if I imagined it. "Whoa, dude. That's messed up," he said, shaking his head. "That's all you have to say?" I frowned. "Someone is making it look like I did something horrible, and you don't even seem surprised." Ryan shrugged. "Maybe it's just some prank." A prank. Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. Before I could press him, a voice came over the loudspeaker. "Jake Carter, Please report to the principal's office immediately. My heart started pounding. Ryan smirked. Guess we'll find out what's really going on. Walking to the principal's office felt like walking to my own execution. My stomach twisted with nerves, my heart hammering in my chest. I ran through every possible reason I could be getting called in, but none of them made sense. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I walked in. Mr. Callahan, our school principal, sat behind his desk, his expression unreadable. But it wasn't just him. There was a police officer sitting beside him. And my mom. Her face was pale, her hands gripping the arms of the chair so tight her knuckles had turned white. Have a seat, Jake, Mr. Callahan said, his voice flat. I hesitated, my pulse roaring in my ears. What's going on? No one answered right away. Instead, Mr. Callahan slid a printed sheet of paper across the desk toward me. My hands shook as I picked it up. And then I saw it. A fake social media account, with my name and my picture, was displayed at the top of the page. But the messages below made my blood run cold. They were messages to a little girl. 7 years old. Explicit, disgusting messages. Messages that I didn't write. My whole body locked up. It felt like I had been shoved into ice water. My vision blurred as I read the words, my brain refusing to believe what was in front of me. What? My voice cracked. This isn't real. I didn't do this. The officer cleared his throat. Jake, we're going to need you to stay calm and answer some questions. I whipped my head toward my mom. Mom, you know I didn't do this. You have to believe me. She swallowed hard, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Of course I believe you. But her voice was shaky, like she was barely holding herself together. Mr. Callahan sighed. Jake, this account was reported last night by the parents of the girl in these messages. We've checked, and the IP address traces back to a location near your home. I shook my head violently. No. Someone must have hacked me or something. That's not my account. I've never even seen that girl before in my life. The officer's expression remained neutral, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. It's not looking good, son, he said. There are multiple messages, all sent over the past week. And the profile is linked to your name, your picture, even your school email. A weight crushed my chest, stealing my breath. Who could have done this? Who hated me enough to frame me for something so horrible? And then it hit me. Ryan. His weird behavior. His vague excuses. His smirk at lunch when I said I was getting threats. My best friend. He did this to me. But I had no proof. My hands clenched into fists. I don't know how this happened, but I did not send those messages. Someone set me up. The officer glanced at Mr. Callahan, then back at me. We'll be investigating this fully, but for now, you're suspended from school until we can get to the bottom of this. My stomach twisted. Suspended? But I didn't do anything. Until we confirm that, it's best if you're off school grounds, Mr. Callahan said firmly. I turned to my mom in panic. Mom, please. She put a hand on my shoulder, her fingers trembling. We'll fight this, sweetheart. I promise. But deep down, I knew this wasn't going away easily. Ryan had set me up. And if I didn't find a way to prove it, my life was over. The ride home from school was silent, except for my mom's shaky breathing. She gripped the steering wheel so tightly I thought it might snap in half. I sat in the passenger seat, my whole body numb. My mind raced in circles, trying to process what had just happened. Suspended. Accused. Police involved. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Finally, my mom broke the silence. We'll get a lawyer. Her voice was firm, but there was an edge of panic underneath. She glanced at me, her eyes filled with fear. Not fear of me, but fear for me. Mom, I didn't do this. My voice cracked. She nodded quickly. I know. I know you didn't, Jake. But this isn't something we can just brush off. These kinds of accusations, she let out a sharp breath. They can ruin people's lives. I swallowed hard. That was the part that terrified me the most. Even if I proved I was innocent, would it matter? People believed what they wanted to believe. The whispers at school, the texts, the way Mr. Callahan looked at me like I was already guilty, it didn't matter what the truth was. A lie spreads faster than the truth ever could. And Ryan knew that. That realization hit me like a brick. He planned this. He knew exactly how to make me look guilty, and he did it on purpose. "Mom," I said suddenly, gripping the seat. It was Ryan. She blinked. "What?" "Ryan did this. He's the only one who could have. He's been acting weird for weeks. He knew something was up before I did. He barely reacted when I showed him the texts at lunch. And his laptop," I stopped, my brain catching up with my words. His laptop. The one he slammed shut when I walked into his room. "Mom, I need to get into Ryan's computer. That's where the proof is." She frowned. "Jake, we can't just break into someone's." "I don't care," I snapped. "If I don't prove I didn't do this, I could go to jail. Do you get that?" "Jail, Mom." Her knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. I could see the battle playing out in her head. She wanted to do things the right way, to trust the system, to let the police investigate. But we both knew the truth. When it comes to accusations like this, people believe the worst. And if I didn't act fast, I might not have a life left to save. When we got home, I went straight to my room and collapsed onto my bed. I felt like I was suffocating. My phone buzzed. "Ryan, hey man, heard about the suspension. That sucks. Let me know if you want to talk." My blood boiled. I wanted to smash my phone against the wall. He was mocking me. Playing innocent. Pretending to care while he watched my life fall apart. I gritted my teeth and forced myself to take a breath. If I lost control, I lost everything. Instead, I texted him back. Can I come over? I need to talk to you." A few minutes passed. "Ryan, of course, bro. Always got your back." I stared at the screen, my hands shaking with rage. Ryan thought he had already won. But he had no idea what was coming next. Ryan's house was only a 10-minute walk from mine, but it felt like the longest walk of my life. My heart pounded with every step. My fingers clenched into fists. I wasn't just going to talk to him. I was going to find proof. One way or another. When I got to his place, Ryan was already waiting for me on the porch. He leaned against the railing, looking relaxed, too relaxed. "Hey, man," he said, giving me a small grin. "Rough day, huh?" I clenched my jaw. I wanted to wipe that smug look off his face, but I had to play this smart. "Yeah," I muttered. "Really rough." Ryan patted my shoulder as we walked inside. "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm sure it'll all blow over soon." "Blow over?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I forced myself to nod. "Yeah. I hope so." We went up to his room, the same way we had 1,000 times before. His desk was still cluttered with snacks and half-empty soda cans. But my eyes immediately locked onto his laptop. That was my target. Ryan flopped onto his bed and stretched out. "So, what's up?" I hesitated, then sighed. "Look, man. I just need to know the truth." He raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" I swallowed hard, pretending to be nervous. I don't know what's happening. But I feel like someone set me up. Like, someone close to me." Ryan's face didn't change. "Damn. That's crazy." I forced myself to look down, playing my part. I wish I could prove it, you know." Ryan shrugged. "Yeah, that'd be nice." And that's when I made my move. I faked a coughing fit, loud, exaggerated. I doubled over, clutching my stomach like I was about to puke. Ryan shot up. "Whoa, dude, you okay?" I groaned. "Bathroom. I think I'm gonna be sick." "Crap, yeah, it's down the hall." The moment he turned away, I lunged. I grabbed his laptop, yanked it open, and prayed it wasn't locked. It wasn't. My fingers flew over the trackpad, opening his browser. My heart nearly stopped when I saw it, an open tab with the fake account still logged in. Right there. Right in front of me. Proof. Ryan's eyes went wide when he turned back and saw me. "Hey, what the are you doing?" I spun the laptop toward him. What's this, Ryan? Huh? What the is this? His face drained of color. I don't know what that is. You framed me. You made this account. You tried to ruin my life. Ryan lunged at me, trying to rip the laptop from my hands. We struggled, knocking over a lamp, crashing into the desk. I gritted my teeth. I wasn't leaving without proof. I fumbled for my phone and snapped a picture of the screen, just before Ryan shoved me back so hard I hit the wall. Get out, he screamed. But it was too late. I had everything I needed. I stumbled back, my phone clenched tightly in my fist. My chest heaved as I stared at Ryan, my so-called best friend, who stood there looking like a cornered animal. He knew. He knew he was caught. Jake, he started, his voice shaking. You don't get it, man. Oh, I get it, I snapped, my blood boiling. You set me up. You used my name, my picture, my email, to make it look like I was some kind of disgusting. I was shaking, my hands clenched so tightly my nails dug into my palms. Why, Ryan? Why would you do this to me? He didn't answer. His eyes darted around the room like he was looking for an escape. I had to, he finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. I took a step closer. You had to? What the hell does that even mean? Ryan ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a caged animal. I was screwed, okay? My parents found out about what happened at school. His voice cracked. I was gonna get expelled, Jake. They were talking about sending me to some boot camp for troubled kids. I felt sick. And that's supposed to be my problem? I spat. So you just, what? You thought, oh, let's ruin my best friend's life so my parents won't be mad at me? Ryan's jaw tightened. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I thought people would just freak out for a day or two and then move on. I didn't think. You didn't think you'd get caught. He flinched. I shook my head, disgusted. You were supposed to be my best friend. I had no choice. I let out a bitter laugh. There's always a choice, Ryan. And you chose to destroy me. His face twisted with frustration. You don't get it, Jake. You've always been the good one. The guy everyone likes. If I went down, I had nothing. But you? You could survive this. Survive? Did he really think this was something I could just walk away from? My fists clenched at my sides. I wanted to punch him, to make him feel even a fraction of the pain he'd put me through. But I wasn't going to sink to his level. I had something better. I lifted my phone and wiggled it in front of his face. I have proof, Ryan. Screenshots. And guess what? I'm not keeping them to myself. His face drained of color. Wait, Jake, don't. But I was already walking toward the door. This is over, I said coldly. I hope you're ready for what happens next. I slammed the door behind me, Ryan's panicked voice calling after me. For the first time in days, I finally felt like I could breathe. Because now, I had control. I walked out of Ryan's house with my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst. My mind was racing. My hands were shaking. But I had proof. Real, undeniable proof. And I wasn't going to waste a second. As soon as I was far enough away, I pulled out my phone and called my mom. She answered on the first ring. Jake? Are you okay? Where are you? I took a shaky breath. Mom, I know who did it. There was a pause. What? It was Ryan. He made the account. He framed me. My voice wavered, but I pushed through it. I was at his house. I saw everything on his laptop. I took screenshots. My mom gasped. Oh my God. I need to show the police, I said firmly. Now. For a second, she didn't say anything. Then, come home. We'll go together. I hung up and started running. Back at home, my mom was already grabbing her keys when I burst through the door. She looked like she'd been crying, but there was something else in her eyes now, fury. Let's go, she said, her voice tight. The whole drive to the police station felt surreal. Just a few hours ago, I had been sitting in the principal's office, thinking my life was over. Now, I was fighting back. When we got there, we asked for Officer Tate, the cop who had been in the meeting with Mr. Callahan. He came out after a few minutes, looking surprised to see us. "Jake," he said, his eyes cautious. "What's going on?" I didn't waste time. I pulled out my phone, opened the photos, and handed it to him. "This," I said, my voice hard, "proves I didn't do it." He took the phone and started scrolling. His expression shifted from neutral to concerned, then to something that almost looked like anger. "You're saying this laptop belongs to Ryan?" "Yes," I said quickly. "I saw it myself." He had the account open. The messages were still there. Officer Tate let out a slow breath. Then he turned and called over another officer. "I think we have a new suspect." The next few hours were a blur. They asked me to send them the photos. Then they took an official statement. My mom sat beside me the whole time, her hand gripping mine so tightly it hurt. "We'll need to verify this," Officer Tate said. "But if what you're saying is true, Ryan is in serious trouble." I exhaled shakily. "What happens now?" He stood up. "Now? We pay Ryan a visit." That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Unknown, you ruined my life, you piece of shit." I stared at the message, my stomach twisting. Good. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. For the first time in days, I slept peacefully. Because now? The truth was finally coming out. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my mom talking on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice was sharp, clipped, angry. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, my mind still catching up to everything that had happened. Then it hit me. I swung my legs out of bed just as my mom stormed into my room, phone still in her hand. Her face was red, her free hand clenched at her side. "They arrested him," she said. My heart slammed against my ribs. "What?" She nodded. "Ryan. The police got a warrant, searched his laptop, and found everything. Every message, every fake post, everything." She let out a shaky breath, like she was trying to keep herself from crying. "Jake, it's over. You're officially cleared." I should have felt relief. I should have felt something. But all I felt was numb. "Where is he now?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. "The station. They're charging him with identity fraud, defamation, and other things." She swallowed. "His parents are trying to get him a lawyer, but with the evidence they found, it's bad. Really bad." I sat there for a long moment, staring at my hands. I should have been happy, I won. But it didn't feel like a win. It felt like I had lost something. I wasn't stupid. Even though my name was cleared, I knew some people at school wouldn't forget. Some would still whisper. Some would still wonder if I was guilty. Ryan had taken that from me. And I could never get it back. Later that afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. "Unknown, you happy now?" I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. I just deleted the message and moved on. The next day, I was called back to the principal's office, but this time, it was different. Mr. Callahan stood when I walked in, his face unusually serious. "Jake. Have a seat." I did. He folded his hands on the desk. "First, I owe you an apology." I blinked. "What?" "We jumped to conclusions," he admitted. "We should have investigated further before taking action. You were treated unfairly." I didn't say anything. What was I supposed to say? "I've spoken to your teachers. Your suspension is lifted, and we're making sure this situation doesn't follow you in your records." I nodded slowly. "Is there anything we can do to help?" I met his eyes. "Just make sure this never happens to anyone else." He hesitated, then nodded. "We will." I stood up. "Then we're good." And just like that, I walked out. I didn't see Ryan again. His parents pulled him from school, probably to avoid the humiliation of facing everyone after what he'd done. Word spread fast, he was expelled. A few people apologized to me. A few didn't. But I stopped caring. Because at the end of the day, I had the one thing Ryan tried to take from me. My life. And I wasn't wasting another second of it. Thank you for watching the video, like it if you watched it to the end, don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.